I bet those glasses make you see better.
Remember when we had sunglasses as morphers? That was pretty weird, right?
Sonic Unleashed.
Man, I hope you remember it's the month of Jungle Fury right now on the channel, so I would really hope you remember. There's actually a really fascinating history behind these sunglasses, and I want to talk about that today. This was actually supposed to be a part of my video talking about the morph, but it got so interesting to me, and I had to split the script in half. Why don't we just get into it, dude? The history of the Solar Morphers. Let's do it. Famously, despite its source footage, Juken Sentai Geki Ranger using the Ranger's fighting gloves as the changer for the series, Power Rangers Jungle Fury invents something of its own, instead deciding to make the Morpher a pair of sunglasses.
Sunglasses?
They're not just sunglasses. They're Solar Morphers.
A bizarre and seemingly random change that had not been done before at this point in the franchise. Although many have speculated this being due to toy company Bandai America not wanting to have the Morpher be seen as a weapon, this can easily be disproven by later seasons of the show, such as 2015's Power Rangers Dino Charge, in which the main Morpher was a blaster. See, in reality, Power Rangers toy-wise has always maintained a formula when it comes to having its products on store shelves. You'll of course have action figures, newly designed vehicles, and Zords for each series.
Combine the Titan weapons and morph again to become the mighty, evil-crushing Mystic Force Deluxe Titan Megazord.
But the main ticket items right off the gate are always the Morpher and the main weapon, usually a type of sword. The Morpher and main weapon toy items are often the most prominent in Power Rangers section of toy aisles as they take up a good amount of space and are the most likely to be the quickest selling. This being the case, with Dino Charge, Bandai could keep the Morpher being a blaster and still sell the sword on its own, as the Rangers would wield both as per usual. One issue Bandai America faced with Jungle Fury was the lack of familiar weapons shown in Geki Ranger. I mean, they had weapons, right? But they weren't like the normal weapons, you know what I mean? Like no blasters and no swords. But they had, okay, they had a sword, but you know what I mean? It wasn't right off the bat. In addition to this, what they'd end up considering to act as the main weapon toy for the year would actually end up being the Morpher in Geki Ranger. It's very likely that instead of adapting this aspect of Geki Ranger in the same fashion and selling the weapon as the Morpher toy, they decided to split them apart and create a Morpher of its own. That way they'd be able to still maintain two SKUs, a SKU essentially being the barcode of a product, instead of there just being one item. This can further be corroborated by 2018's Power Rangers Ninja Steel, in which the source footage utilized a sword as the Morpher. Ninja Steel decided to instead make the source footage's sidearm weapon the Morpher and still be able to sell the sword toy as its own separately.
Power Rangers Ninja Steel, Morpher, and Sword sold separately.
When asked about the change to sunglasses, Jackie Marchand, a veteran show writer and a writer on Power Rangers Jungle Fury, would have this to say, quote, "Honestly, the story behind this is pretty simple. Bruce Kalish had the idea to make the Morphers sunglasses and Bandai liked it, so they did it. The inspiration was that the helmet design that year already had visors that sort of looked like sunglasses anyway." End quote. Thus, the Solar Morphers were created. The Solar Morphers were some of the most unique creations in the show's history, as they were not only able to be used in a fashion sense, but they were also unapologetically silly.
Go out there and beat down evil. And now you look good doing it.
The Solar Morphers had gone through a few different iterations before landing on what we'd become familiar with in Jungle Fury. One of those iterations would become what ended up being sold on store shelves as the toy version. This iteration features a silver base, a standard lens, and 3 plates designated to each of the 3 original Rangers. Each plate is stylized with a hole as to not cover up the orange button in the middle of the Morpher. It's unknown if this design was originally planned to be used on screen as the main prop, or if it was always planned to be toy only. Its concept is strikingly similar to what was done for shows such as Hurricaneger and Abba Ranger, what we'd know in America as Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder. Each Ranger having their own version of the main device, but each carrying out the same function. Despite this design being scrapped for the show itself, it did end up appearing in the morph sequence. When the Rangers burst out during the morph before the helmet forms, you can see a render of the toy Morpher being worn instead of the main prop. This is shown on each of the 3 Rangers.
I bet those glasses make you see better.
All right already!
Other designs show that the sunglasses originally did not feature the pull-down microphone and attempted to look more like the animals. A common trait of these designs not utilized would be the inclusion of earpieces near the end of the handles. These earpieces would actually end up being sculpted into some of the prototypes, even those that went on to be painted. What we ultimately ended up with would be more streamlined and generally accepted visually as a standard pair of sunglasses with an added flair. The Solar Morphers appear as sunglasses color themed to each core ranger, with sculpting reminiscent of the Jungle Fury Ranger helmets, and a silver mic that can pivot down from the lens for usage. What started as an orange button in the center would still be sculpted onto the prop, but just painted over. The Solar Morphers showed once again that Power Rangers was brave enough to take bold steps without worry. Instead of creating yet another wrist morpher or phone morpher, they opted for a new change of pace, something that hadn't been done before, something wearable, something that looked both different and cool, depending on who you ask. The craft put into Jungle Fury is absolutely admirable, and to think we wouldn't have had this style choice if not for both the brilliant ideas of the showrunners and the beautiful helmet designs of Geki Ranger. Huge thanks to Ranger Retrocenter for some of the information provided, helping with research, and many of the photos shown throughout. All links will be in the description. Much love. Alicia, Andrew, Austin, Autistic Disney, Brandon, Tony, Emilia, Grim, Helen, Ian, Junior the Hedgehog, Matthew, Mia T. Toon,